This underwater volcano has its very own science observatory. In fact, it's one of the best monitored volcanoes in the world, and certainly the best monitored volcano in the oceans. I know what you're thinking, this sounds pretty sci-fi, also sounds very Jules Verne, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Unfortunately, we're not quite at that level where we have human-occupied stations on the seafloor, especially at this one that's over a mile deep, but the technology is very cool and allows us to monitor this volcano in almost real time. This is Axial Seamount, an underwater volcano 400 miles off the west coast of Oregon in the USA and about a mile deep. So it's a very, very remote volcano, so the fact we can actually monitor its activity from that far away is really incredible. The observatory is essentially an entire array of scientific instruments that are measuring different things all at once, and this array of instruments is cabled all the way back to land, which allows us to receive the data, like I say, in almost near real time. The instruments in this array are measuring a whole range of things, from seismic activity, so the number, location, size and depth of earthquakes, changes in water pressure, listening for sounds in the ocean, so hydroacoustics, potentially the sound of lava erupting onto the seafloor. They're looking at inflation at the volcano, so how much the ground moves up and down over time, not just vertically but also tilting, so there's things called tilt meters there. Also changes in the water chemistry, so water sampling and looking at the different elements and the ratios of those elements to detect changes over time. As well as that, there are also some webcams positioned around the volcano, mainly looking at some of the hydrothermal vents, potentially looking for changes in the ecology and the microbial activity and how these vents change over time. And it's because of all these instruments on the ground that we know so much about this volcano. It's erupted in 1998, 2011, 2015, and it's predicted to possibly erupt later again this year based on certain trends in the activity. It's not going to cause a threat to land, it's too deep and it's too far away out in the ocean, but it's a very, very interesting case study of what monitoring an underwater volcano could look like, potentially so that we can apply it to more hazardous volcanoes. But this is a really good testing ground because we know it's erupted before, we know there's inflation, we know there's earthquakes increasing, so it's almost a playground for scientists to try and learn more about underwater volcanoes. If you want to learn more about this, you can go and check out the Axial Seamount Ocean Observatories Initiative and the cabled array that exists on Axial Seamount. It's a fascinating read, and you can also find all of the instruments, you can look at the data, so the earthquakes, the tilt, you can even find some of the webcams to have a sneak peek at what's going on at some of those hydrothermal vents.